gross. But how do you think we get our oil and our gas and other important things that keep our country running? This looks a hell of a lot different than where we just came from. I think this is the reason the Texas coast has such a bad reputation. We had just left South Padre Island on the Texas coast, part of the Texas Adventure. The next day we'd be in Galveston, but we had to stop and spend a couple of days in Corpus Christi. No particular reason, except to show everybody what a supposedly bad city on the Texas coast looks like. And if the whole place looks like this, we're in for a treat, aren't we? Corpus Christi, Texas. And man, what a morning. The sun came out briefly on our second day here. But as you'll see, for most of the time we were here, the weather was iffy. It was cloudy. Just blah. But I'll take the sunshine when I can get it. Corpus Christi is about 3 hours north of South Padre Island. And it's right on the Gulf. They call this part of Texas the Coastal Bend, because this is where the coast bends. It was the 2nd of November when we drove all around Corpus Christi. And for the first time since we left San Antonio, we were in a real city. This place is way bigger than anywhere we'd seen in the last 6 days. There's more than 300,000 people here, and it's the 8th biggest city in the state. They call us the sparkling city by the sea. I don't know about all that, but it's average here overall. It's slightly conservative here, but it's getting more liberal all the time. It's about half Hispanic and half white here these days. I think a lot of the people who are moving down here are doing so for the energy jobs and for the tourism. And there's also a big military presence here too. Go America! Corpus has a decent downtown area here along the water. The Spanish first found this place back in 1519. And it was first settled here as a trading post where we could sell guns to Mexican troops. And then years later, we built a fort here so we could fight against Mexico. And later, we established a Navy presence here. And then like 10 hurricanes hit. And, well, there you go. We're all caught up. You're reminded of the naval history here with the USS Lexington parked right in town. She sure did some damage against those Japs in WW2. Parts of Corpus Christi aren't very pretty. It's a very industrial place. There's a lot of oil refineries and petrochemical plants all over. I think that's one reason it has such a bad reputation. Texas pumps a lot of oil from its sands out west, and a lot of that winds up here along the coast, where it's refined and then shipped out. This part of Texas processes 3 million barrels of crude oil every year, everyone. And almost all of that is done right here in Corpus Christi. And that port's actually the 5th largest port in the country. I bet you didn't know that. This is all very important for our national security and our economy. And I gotta stick this somewhere. There's a lot of good paying blue collar jobs here. If you're into this line of work, you'd have a long career. It also looks like they need more hands on deck to finish that bridge. The whole goal of that was to allow bigger ships into their port. They started it years ago, but it's way behind schedule because of safety concerns. I don't know whose idea it was to build it from the middle out like that, but I'm not an engineer, clearly. But man, Corpus has a bad reputation. I will tell you that. There's people online that say this is the Detroit of Texas. What? They say there's downtown zombies wandering around. That's mean. But I wanted to see what Texas people think is bad. So I drove around to some of the worst pockets and checked stuff out. Right now I'm driving through what people say is one of Corpus's worst ghettos. It's called the 40 neighborhood. This is where a lot of the gangs and crime is. It's pretty dangerous here, at least based on stats. Look at that. It's worse here than in Stockton and Shreveport, which are terrible people. Corpus Christi has the third highest crime rate in Texas and the 30th worst in the country. I did not know that until I came here. It's a lot of drugs and gangs. We're not too far away from the Mexican border, so a lot of that drama has a presence here. They target the bad areas with extra cops and they work with the federal agencies, but it's still pretty bad. There's a lot of poverty here too. I did not think I'd see such a vast rundown area on a quick stop along the Texas coast, but here you go. And after driving around for a couple of days, I'm guessing that more than half the place looks like this, but I didn't measure it. I hear Corpus was a lot nicer in the 1990s. Back then, people hung out a lot more, and it was pretty safe. But then the place got seedy. I think that all the Katrina refugees that came here really made the place go downhill. Happened in Houston, too. This all looks very bleak with the crummy weather, doesn't it? This was the 9th day on the trip, and most of it had been clouds. I'm beginning to think that Texas weather is either blazing hot and muggy or dreary like this. Do they have nice days here? I wondered that. I didn't stop to get a good shot of it, but we saw some Mexican families celebrating Dias de los Muertos in the cemetery in one of the hoods. Just throwing a party with piñatas and soccer games right in the middle of all the graves. Corpus Christi land. There's nice areas all over Corpus too. I just started out with the bad stuff, because that's what you people always want to see. Along the Gulf, there's some super nice homes. It kind of reminded me of the Biloxi, Mississippi coastline. Stuff like this along the water is anywhere from $500,000 to $2 million, depending on how big your place is and how many times it's been flooded during a storm. It's pretty cool here. I like this part of town. And here's what the most expensive neighborhood in Corpus looks like. On the fringes of town, it's pretty nice. It's pretty clean and safe like this. It's really cheap here. Well, these homes aren't, but it's only about $280K on average for a house here. And that's affordable for today's America. But it's getting more expensive here by the month. Everybody wants to be in Texas. Doesn't matter where. All of this will probably be 10% more expensive this time next year. I couldn't figure out why it's so cheap here. And I can usually figure everything out. I mean, hurricanes are a thing here. And the place has been wrecked by them in the past, but that doesn't stop people. Look at these nice homes with boat docks. Those are probably $900K minimum. I think I'd rather live there than on a street without a boat in my backyard. And then there's the beaches here. Now, these have some problems. I was just down in South Padre Island, and the water down there is pretty nice. But this is bad. The water quality here always has bad marks. Where we're at right now is Cole Park, which has been called the dirtiest, nastiest, poopiest beach in Texas. A study said that more than half the days of the year, there was poop in that water. Poop, people! In fact, the top 3 worst toilet-filled, oil-stained beaches in Texas are all right here on the Corpus shore. More like Corpus Christi. Yuck! Oil spills have happened here. Crap washes up in the current from South America. Trash from the offshore drilling. Pollution from ships. Poop from cargo ships. People say the water looks muddy because of the small sand particles floating around. That's why the water doesn't look as pretty here as across the Gulf in Florida. Let's get out of here before I get giardia. Ghosts? We kept hearing about all these haunted historic houses on the edge of downtown. So of course I had to go and check that out. Since Halloween had just passed and it was so spooky out and all. We walked around and tried to see what we could see. These places have all made it through multiple hurricanes. They don't make them like this anymore, do they? Ghosts. This is a McCarroll house. The woman who ran the place died in there of pneumonia during a storm. Anyways, all this stuff in here is haunted. That one's not haunted, but I bet it's haunted. Jeez. Look at that work of art. Opportunity, people. Right near downtown. And Corpus Christi's home to the original Whataburger. What? A burger? Here it is right here. Well, it's gone now. But it was right there. Right there was the original Whataburger. No hamburgers in there anymore. That's a shame. I think I can still smell the grease in the air. Now, if you don't know what Whataburgers is, it's a big deal to Texans. I'm going to show you more about Whataburger later in the trip. It's a burger joint that folks down here love. Whataburger Field. The city gave them naming rights to the minor league team in town. They're called the Hooks. They're the AA affiliate for the Houston Astros. Cheaters. They were even nice enough to let me come in and show you guys what their field looks like. Very impressive. Oh, this is a wonderful field. Look at this. Aw. Are you guys sad the season's over?
Oh gosh, we are in full rest mode right now.
Yeah?
The season has us crazy running around everywhere all the time. This is kind of we finally get to breathe season.
Now, I think this is a good time to take a minute to show you a real Texas treat. It's way better than Whataburger. It's time we talked about Buc-ee's. Sorry it took me so long to bring the place up. That was like the 5th stop on the trip. But man, is there a lot to talk about with Buc-ee's. There's one of them right outside of Corpus. If you look at a map, there's 46 Buc-ee's in the USA, and 36 of them are here in Texas. They love it here, and so do I. Hey.
Hey, sir, how you doing?
Good. Buc-ee's is a giant grocery store, restaurant, tourist trap, gas station. You can't really say it's like something because, well, there's nothing like it. Take a truck stop and add in a big food court and like 3 different departments from Tractor Supply. They have everything. There's even entire guides online about what you should do here and what you should eat. The chain started off with a simple goal. They just want to be a gas station with clean bathrooms. It is not that anymore. Look at what they pay people to work here. I saw one dude in the bathroom cleaning up, and I was like, he makes more than a cop does. The energy in here is palpable. There's excitement in the air. It's like Christmas. The people who work here are happy. Customers are happy. I mean, who wouldn't be happy? Toys for the tots. They have fancy leather purses for the ladies. There you go. And many types of goat milk lotion for them, too. Some nice looking cowboy hats for the dudes. I almost bought one. Even hunting stuff? They even have deer blinds and smokers. But it's the food that gets everyone. The pecans are amazing. I tried those. They roast them right there on the spot. Tough dudes cutting big old stacks of brisket. I got one of those sannies. It was $12, but well worth it. Might have been the best sandwich I had the entire month. Mexican food. Of course, I had to get me some of that. Man, I could eat here every day. And the jerky. Walls and walls of famous Buc-ee's homemade jerky. And the fudge. Hello? Buc-ee's has famous fudge. They have famous everything here. I hear that old folks drive an hour to this Buc-ee's just for the fudge. Well, I can see why. I thought it was the best thing I ate in my entire life. That's the only thing that doesn't look good. Okay, not everyone's perfect. We're gonna grab some of them. Their beaver nuggets might be the most popular item they sell. Had to get those. They look cheesy, but they're more like corn pops without the milk. Sugar, sugar, sugar. I bought it all. Had to. Well, I got the fudge, the pecans, the jerky, sandwich, burrito, and the beaver nuggets. And I'm not done yet. Oh wait, don't forget the pecan log. If you've never been to a Buc-ee's, you should drive to Texas just to see one. And no, they didn't pay me to say that. I wish they did. In fudge.
Did you know the biggest Buc-ee's is actually in Tennessee?
Now go on with that horse shit, Mappy. That's fool's talk. Everybody knows the biggest everything is in Texas. We got the biggest cowboy boots, the biggest knife. Hell, I bet we even got the biggest gun.
No, that's in Russia. Hey!
So when you leave Corpus, there's a lot more to see. You can take a quick 30-minute drive from downtown and cross a really cool looking bay, and you come over to a place called Mustang Island. It's actually kind of connected to Padre Island, which is south of where we were yesterday. All this is really neat over here. I think this is where the folks with the real moolah make their homes. The whole island's about 18 miles long, and it's really narrow, like a mile and a half across. It's a barrier island. At some point, the desolate island becomes the city of Port Aransas, or Port A, as they call it around here. There's wild Mustangs here, supposedly, that I didn't get to see, damn it. But they're out there somewhere. And they're a big draw. They were brought here by the Spaniards, who brought in horses in the 1700s. Smugglers and pirates and all sorts of rogue people came here and tried to use this place to get richer. Most of the island's pretty uninhabited, but there's signs of growth all over now. Even though this isn't a hurricane zone and it's all been wiped away before, but people just can't seem to get enough of the place. And all these big gated condo communities all over out here. Finally, we just had to pull over and check one of these places out. What is happening here? I looked it up. Stuff in here runs about $800K to $2 million. I guess it's worth it because they're building this stuff all over out here. At the end of the island is Port Aransas proper. Kind of looks like a teeny version of South Padre Island with the tacky beach shops and a little marina and some restaurants that serve fish sandwiches and tacos. It's really chill here. I did not know this place would be like this. It actually reminded me of Carolina Beach, where I live. There's only 3,000 people in Port A, but I bet that doubles at some point. Here's what the beach looks like down at the end of the peninsula. And then north of here, and it's uninhabited land for 200 miles along the Texas coast, all the way up to Galveston. Look at all that oil crap going on out there. Gotta fill up those reserves that Joe Biden emptied out, right? Just a really neat little town at the end of the island. Port A is way better than Corpus. I just wish it would have been sunnier here that day. On our way back to Corpus, we came across an interesting development. I was like, wait, what is that? Looks like a Buc-ee's. But it's not. So there's another chain in Texas called the Texan. I was like, man, these Texas people sure do love their themed convenience stores. But as it turns out, it's basically a super generic wannabe Buc-ee's. If I had never been to Buc-ee's before, I would have been like, oh, this place is cool. But as soon as I walked in, I was like, this ain't Buc-ee's. They do have the baby clothes here and the specialty meats. But bread and butter pickles? Spicy quail eggs? What? Pickled okra? Candied jalapenos? Oh, come on now. They make their own food in here, too. I didn't try it, but I doubt it's as good as Buc-ee's food. This ain't Buc-ee's. They do have a dining area, though. I don't think Buc-ee's has that. And by the way, if you want to learn about where you should live, you should go to my website, homesnacks.com/findyourplace. On my website, you get tips on where you should move and what the costs are, and a whole lot more. It's like an AI Nick Johnson consultation for free. Plus there's gear that you can buy and more. That's homesnacks.com/findyourplace. Try it today. When I was out and about in Corpus Christi, Texas, tried to squeeze in as much as I could on one night in town. After all, Google's paying me to give you the deets. We began our night with an early supper. We went to one of 2 Brewster Street ice houses in Corpus. We were looking for some true Texas flavor, and we found it. My kind of place. I sprung for the chicken pasta and the mac and cheese, and of course a Lone Star. At that point, I think I'd had 20 Lone Stars, and it was only day 9. I do love me some Lone Stars. And I like this place a lot too. George Strait on the speakers and all. They even had it piped into the bathroom, which was very clean and very Texas. Now back on the patio was a real good time. I'd be in Amarillo in 11 days. After dinner, I wandered around downtown Corpus all alone. My driver had been driving for 9 consecutive days at that point, and she needed a reprieve. Plus, I can't cover as much ground with 2 people. Downtown Corpus is really chill, actually. It's clean and pretty quiet. Definitely not the bad I had heard about. I mean, yeah, a lot of this city's pretty beat up and rough. But I was beginning to see that Texans have pride in their downtowns. Looking back, I didn't really see that many downtowns that were that bad here, even in the cities with the crime and the poverty. Everywhere has a homeless problem. On just about every block in downtown, there was somebody having a bad time. I walked past this dude all by himself out on the streets, and I wondered what his story was, and why he chooses to sleep like this, and how he got to this point. This country is totally unaffordable for people with average jobs now. Then you mix in drugs and booze, and it ain't happening. There was a lot going on in downtown on this random Thursday. A lot of the bars had something going on. It was way more exciting here than it was down the coast yesterday. I had fun wandering around, meeting people, checking out downtown. Not a bad place at all. Corpus Christi, Texas. It's okay. Was it worth a stop? For a day. But would I come back again? No, I would not. But I tell you, after seeing the state for a month, it's not too bad here compared to the rest of Texas. My expectations were being lowered every time I stopped. The state of Texas is just kind of average. There were a few places here that I really liked a lot, including my next stop in Galveston. Galveston, oh Galveston. Are you looking to move and need advice? I do consulting. That's right. I'll sit down and talk about where the next perfect place for you and your family should be. I do it all the time. Together, let's find you a new home that's safe and checks all your boxes. And I can also help you find your new house, too. Email me and I'll work with you on not just helping you figure out where to move, but I can help you find your perfect home, too. That's right. I know awesome, reliable agents all over the country, and I'd love to connect you to somebody who can help you search for that perfect home. Hey guys, if you learned something new about America or what it's like to live in America, great. You should think about subscribing and turning on your notifications. You can also click one of these videos or playlists for more.
This is Sage, Nick's manager. This has been a Corner House Entertainment production.